Hello, YouTube. There are many mysteries in the Arctic. Let me tell you about two of them, separated by time but not by distance. But just know there are more that we know about and many mysteries that we do not know about. This is the land of ice, UFOs, USOs, and other mysterious phenomena. I am one of the few researchers in the world writing about the Russian Arctic, and I want the world to know about this fascinating part of the world. The first episode is based on the recent information published in Novosti Ufology, a very active UFO research site in Ukraine, where researchers from Belarus, Russia, Ukraine, and other countries share their work. And this is as it should be. The location is the urban-type settlement Belushya Guba, Arkhangelsk region, Novaya Zemlya, USSR. I'll tell you more about the Novaya Zemlya territory later in this video. The military personnel who was interviewed was guard captain of the third rank Vasily Petrovich Kulik. Description: command bodies of the central test site of the USSR Novaya Zemlya, long-term storage warehouse Belushya Guba or Bay, a listening point for the passage of submarines, abbreviated as PPPL, at Cape Lilia. During the service in 1982 to 1986, Kulik was a guard for the protection of objects both related to military units and located outside the territory of the military facility. During his first year of service in the Novaya Zemlya archipelago, Vasily witnessed an extraordinary incident that occurred in the Belushya Guba Bay and gave investigative testimony, because this case was investigated. In the second half of July, Soviet icebreaker cargo ship Pioneer Belarusi had arrived to the pier of the urban-type settlement Belushya Guba to unload cargo to a local long-term storage warehouses. Several members of the ship, captain, first mate, deputy political officer, and chief mechanic, decided to go fishing on the opposite Cape Lilio. For this purpose, a small motorboat was used, which was operated by three members of the vessel: senior midshipman, motorist helmsman, and gunner radio operator. A group of 7 people sailed in the morning to the shore of Cape Lilio in clear weather, when the Barents Sea was calm. Before returning back to the command post of the Belushya Guba military unit at about 1500 hours, a request was sent to the senior midshipman for permission to return, which was received. When the motorboat crossed the bay, Belushya Guba, about 8 to 9 kilometers distance, in the middle of the route, the motorboat was covered or enveloped with fog that came from the sea, which fog, having entered the bay, dissipated. At the same time, the motorboat vanished, both visually and on the radars of the hydroacoustic stations for detecting underwater and surface targets. At the entrance to the bay on Cape Lilio, fishing was carried out near the listening point for the passage of nuclear submarines. At about 15 hours 30 minutes, an alarm was announced and a rescue operation was launched. Ships and helicopters were dispatched. The search was conducted in clear weather. Temperature of the air was plus 10 degrees and calm. Temperature of the sea was plus 3 degrees, with visibility of about 20 kilometers. According to the rules, all passengers on the ship had to wear bright orange life jackets. Also on the boat, there was an emergency SOS signal transmission button, which was not used by anyone for its intended purpose. The constancy of the white nights in this region did not contribute to favorable conditions when search for a missing boat with people. The white nights are a period from May to July when the sun does not drop lower than 6 degrees below the horizon, resulting in a mesmerizing glow all night long. Only on the third day of the search, the body of the captain of the ship Pioneer Belarusi was accidentally discovered, which did not correspond to the place of the disappearance. The assistant chief of the guard accidentally noticed something lying in the orange cloth from a lookout tower on one of the roofs of the long-term storage warehouses. The captain turned out to be dead and was wearing a life jacket. During the search of the place of discovery, his shoe was also found, located a dozen meters from the body, which was located on the side of the disappearance area. There were several warehouses between the captain's body and his shoe. Each warehouse, for various purposes of rectangular shape, had 3-story watchtowers on the sides with a replaceable triple guard. The territory of the warehouses is located about 10 miles above the 10 meters above the sea level and is fenced with a high fence with a barbed fence. The moment of the appearance of the body of the missing captain was not recorded by anyone. By the evening of the third day, the body of the second member of the ship, the motorist helmsman, was found under the pier near the ship Pioneer Belarusi. He was also wearing a life jacket. The moment of the appearance of the body of the missing motorman helmsman was also not recorded by anyone. After 10 days, the search was stopped. The boat and the missing 5 members of the vessel were never found. The cause of the death of the found corpses was determined to be as hypothermia. After unsuccessful attempts to explain the strange disappearance and the no less strange appearance of the bodies, the investigation came to a dead end. The official cause of the tragedy in connection with a secret military facility was classified as an accident. The hypothesis of destruction by a foreign vessel or detonation on a mine from the World War II period were not confirmed, since no extraneous targets were recorded on the radars of sonar stations and air defense, and no wreckage, oil stains, or noise from the explosion were found. The wife of the missing senior midshipman waited half a year for the registration of benefits in connection with the status of the missing husband. In the year 2010, Dmitry Hwan's sci-fi story, Step into an Anomaly, was released or published, and it mentioned a scientific expedition sent by the Russian government to a spatial anomaly discovered on Novaya Zemlya. It can be assumed that the author of the story, before writing, was aware of the mysterious incident in the Belushia Guba in 1982. But we cannot blame the anomaly on some secret Soviet military experiments or tests only. You see, there may be a pattern that started long before 1982 and in Russia before the bloody communist takeover. See, I have a file about vanished expeditions, and not only Russians, and I have this episode. Hercules was a small hunting vessel on which in 1912 the experienced Arctic explorer Vladimir Alexandrovich Rusanov, together with members of his expedition, sailed to the island of Svalbard in order to secure the right for Russia to extract minerals in that area before other countries. Everything went well, but for unknown reasons, Rusanov decided to return to the northwestern tip of Novaya Zemlya, and if the ship survives, then sail east to the first islands that he would meet. The telegram with his intentions was the last news from the vessel Hercules. And only in 1934, on one of the islands near the shore of Khariton Laptev, a pillar with the inscription Hercules 1913 was discovered. And on the neighboring island, things from Hercules were found: a nautical book records, pieces of clothing, etc., but the bodies of the expedition members were never found. Let me add a few more details. There are more, but mainly about the various search and rescue expeditions. When I have them, should there be a curious producer of mystery and paranormal TV shows? Because it's a fascinating subject. So, on September 9, 1934, off the western coast of Timor Peninsula, on one of the islands of Endymion Skerries, using the Scottish word, topographer Tsiganyuk found traces of Rusanov expeditions, scraps of clothing and a backpack, cartridges of different calibers, a Kodak camera, Popov's personal watch, and documents of sailors Popov and Chukchin from the Rusanov expedition. After this discovery, another topographer, Gusev, reported that a month before on one of the islands in the Mona archipelago, he had seen a pillar lined with stones with the inscription Hercules 1913 carved in it. Unfortunately, no attempts were made to find out the fate of the Rusanov expedition at that time. Only new names of previously unnamed islands appeared on the map. One is Hercules, the other one is Popov Chukchin Island. In 1935, new finds were made on the island of Popov Chukchin. Manicure scissors, comb, penknife, iron spoons, cartridges, copper coins, a fragment of manuscript V.A. Rusanov regarding the question of the northern route through the Siberian Sea. Many items were found in duplicate. For example, 2 mugs, 2 spoons, together with the documents of the 2 sailors. This suggested that the 2 members of the Hercules crew died here, possibly sent by Rusanov to the mainland with a report about wintering or asking for help. However, when the cartridges were examined, it turned out they were 10 different types, which suggested the presence of at least 6 types of weapons. It became clear that not only 2 sailors had visited the island, but also perhaps the entire crew of the Hercules vessel. Something strange, something sinister happened on the Popov Chukchin Island. It's hard to imagine that people could throw away their own documents without good reason. What happened to the Hercules crew? In 1988, in the magazine Vakruk Sveta, author Troitsky reported 2 curious letters possibly related to the tragedy of the Rusanov expedition. One of them spoke about 2 mysterious graves in the area of the Avam River on Pyasin, which a nurse from Korchagin saw in 1952. She managed to find out that even under the Tsar in the Russian imperial period, nomadic reindeer herders found a boat on the coast next to which there were dead people. Reindeer herders buried the corpses under the stones and then found 2 or 3 more people from this group who managed to reach the Tagenar Valok, where they froze. The dead were buried together with documents and manuscripts, but we're not sure who they were. Are the 2 episodes of the disappearance connected? I think so. There are many mysteries in the Arctic in general, and in the Russian Arctic in particular. I have listed them in the book Russia's USO Secrets and continue to do so in my videos. Just look at the attached playlist. As for Novaya Zemlya, or New Land in English, it's an archipelago in northern Russia. It is situated in the Arctic Ocean in the extreme northeast of Europe, with Cape Frisinski on the northern island, considered the easternmost point of Europe. To Novaya Zemlya west lies the Barents Sea, and to the east is the Kara Sea. Novaya Zemlya consists of 2 main islands, the northern Severny Island and the southern Yuzhny Island, which are separated by the Matochkin Strait. Novaya Zemlya was a sensitive military area during the Cold War, and parts of it are still used for airfields today. The Soviet Air Force maintained a presence at Rogachovo on the southern part of the southern island. On the westernmost peninsula, it was used primarily for interceptor aircraft operations, but also provided logistical support for the nearby nuclear test area. Novaya Zemlya was one of the two major nuclear test sites managed by the USSR. It was used for airdrops and underground testing of the largest of Soviet nuclear bombs, in particular the October 30, 1961 airburst explosion of the Tsar bomba, the largest, most powerful nuclear weapon ever detonated. Novaya Zemlya is an extension of the Pai-Hoi Hills, a branch of the northern Urals, which would not be surprising with all the paranormal phenomena of the Ural Mountains. This is what I wanted to let you know today. If you like my research, please support me. You will find the links to do so in the description to this video. Please tell others about my channel. I wish more people would find out about it and listen to it. And thank you for your attention to my work.